was like your go-to like comic character or whatever?
I'll give you two. So that probably aren't one that's definitely not one that people say, but Iron
Yeah.
Fist, Karnak. Identify with Karnak is dope because he's an inhuman. He never went through the Terrigen Mist to get his powers, but he
Yeah.
trained his ability, and his ability is the ability to find a weakness in all things.
Give me your Mount Rushmore of a golden era guys.
Golden
4 or
Era
5.
guys. All right. All right. My favorite, not the best, because
Yeah,
there'll
that
be
don't matter.
people,
Yeah, you're a
yeah,
Mount
people that
Rushmore.
are
Yep.
the
Yo,
hey, yo, what's happening, man?
there he is. How you doing, brother?
Not bad, you.
I'm good. I'm good. I see the swords, man. You can't see
Nah,
mine. I got some over here too, man.
uh,
I'm digging the vibes, brother. Looking
got to
sharp.
it.
Yeah.
Thanks, bro. Uh,
How's things? How's things?
I can't complain, man. It's just teaching, getting some people ready to fight. Got one guy doing the nationals this week,
Okay,
so
bet.
gonna be heading down there to Delaware.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, other than that, just fucking same old, same old.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we'll see you over there. I
All
got
right.
like we that's like we didn't really have anything else going on up until now. We were just like had everybody focused on that was you got a couple people in the elite. My guy Gary was supposed to do it. He hurt his foot in his Warriors Cup fights. He's out.
Yeah.
But it actually kind of worked out cuz yeah, it worked out. I'll tell you at the end of it, but we just signed to do something else.
Mm,
That's something we were trying to get to anyway, so it worked out kind of good anyway.
yeah.
Yeah, but all right, man. Well, let's get on into this thing, man. I don't want to keep you for too
All
long.
right.
You got shit to do. So for those that don't know the story, the full story. I know you originally started off focused on MMA, correct?
Yep.
And then you fought Bellator, you fought some big names and stuff too. And then what made you decide to transition over to Muay Thai?
I mean, I've always been a striker. So ever
Mhm.
since I was a little kid, I was growing up on Jackie Chan movies and Ninja Turtles and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And people throwing kicks and punches and whatnot. So it's like, I started competing in karate tournaments as a kid, and then started getting into MMA because at the time the UFC was the thing. There
Hmm.
wasn't really like a Muay Thai scene that I knew about, at least, especially over
Yeah.
here in New England. So, the UFC was a thing. So I started training at a gym over here in Plymouth called Cape Cod Fighting Alliance.
Hmm.
And a year later, had my first pro fight because back then there wasn't even any amateur in
Right.
Massachusetts yet. So it was just jumping right into to pro. But yeah, so I had 20 pro MMA fights, and every single one of them, I didn't shoot one takedown the whole time. I was just, it's me just trying to keep it standing so I could use my striking.
Yeah.
And eventually, I just kind of got fed up with it because I just wanted to fight in a fight that somebody had to stand up with me. Because
Yeah.
everybody I fought for the most part in MMA, they were always going to be trying to take me down or trying to push me against the cage and just kind of stall out or whatever. There was a few guys that struck with me,
Yeah.
but yeah, it just kind of, I was over it. I wanted to switch up over into either kickboxing or Muay Thai. At the time, I think I would have rather have done kickboxing
Hmm.
because I don't want to know about getting elbowed up and
Yeah.
sliced up and stuff. But so I had one kickboxing fight, and then I started fighting in Lion Fight, and obviously now it's no looking back, and
Yeah.
I just love Muay Thai. I love everything to do with it, the cultural part of it, the history, everything that makes it unique, the scoring, the rhythm
Yeah.
of it, the whole thing.
It's a beautiful thing. I think a lot of people don't. A lot of people will like kind of talk shit about MMA and don't really realize like how much of an effect it's actually had on Muay Thai. Because I started off on the same path. Like I wanted to be a striker in MMA,
Mhm.
and I wanted to focus on Muay Thai, but the only place I could find Muay Thai in our area was at Lloyd Irvin's gym. That was the only place in this area that had Muay Thai back then. Like now, there's Muay Thai gyms everywhere, but I think a huge part of that was the fact that people found their piece of MMA that they really liked, whether it was jujitsu or even like judo or Muay Thai or even boxing, and then kind of started focusing more on those skills, and it really helped, kind of blow up everything else, because there
Yep.
definitely wasn't as many Muay Thai gyms in the area as there was, as there were now back in the day at all, not even close. I'm sure it's the same up your way too, yeah.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, it's funny. I've always said that MMA is like a gateway drug. I got people that I used to train with back in the day that they started in MMA and then they went off into just straight up jujitsu or
Yeah,
like I said, like straight up into just straight up boxing.
yeah,
Like just
absolutely.
they didn't want to kick. They didn't want to grapple that much. They wanted to get into boxing, and then that's the route that they chose. So it's cool seeing everybody branch different directions, from MMA, as a
Absolutely.
starting
Yeah,
place.
absolutely. I think for me it helped me a lot with, because I started it having to worry about takedowns. I feel like I always felt like it helped me with my range even more, because there was so much more at risk, like
Mhm.
if you overcommitted, like I feel like it really helped you like figure out like when to go, because if you went the wrong time you end up on your fucking head, so it's like people don't understand that, like I always had this, I always try to tell my guys, I'm like, you should always be one step away, like so you're just out of range, you can step in and get your stuff off, you can probe from out there and stuff like that. And it was funny because for years I didn't even realize that. I was like, oh shit, I did that because I wanted to be a step away from their takedown if I needed to, be able to
Yeah.
see it a little bit better. And
Hmm.
yeah, it definitely helped, help the mindset for that too. And I even tell because we do everything. My guys will obviously do Muay Thai, obviously do kickboxing, we'll do boxing too. And I always tell them, I'm like, man, a Muay Thai to me is kind of the MMA of striking, because you can choose to, like, okay, I need my boxing for this fight, or I need my clinch for this fight, or I need to like lay back and just kick the dog shit out of this person. So I'm like, if you really learn it that way and kind of rock paper scissors people, like you can kind of stay a step ahead. And that's a big part of it. Like I was a fan of yours immediately, because you had like a similar style to how we try to be, a really good boxing, really good movement, really good timing, like a style that I feel like is kind of the future, and I feel like now it is the style of a lot of the really strong Muay Thai fighters out there.
Hmm.
But people slept on it, or kind of downplayed it a little bit at first, like, oh, they're just box, or they just do this or that, and it's like, all right, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
did you hear stuff like that at all, or was it where, or did you have any kind of rumblings like
Uh,
that?
not particularly as far as I
Yeah,
heard.
yeah,
I mean, my first my first pro Muay Thai fight, because again, I came right into it from being a professional MMA fighter.
yeah,
So it's not like I'm gonna go through the amateur circuit or anything like that, the
yeah,
IFMA, like all that kind of stuff. You're jumping right into pro Muay Thai,
yeah.
which is kind of crazy. So I was brought into to Lion Fight, and most likely as like a sacrificial kind of, here, take this MMA guy. It was against Brett Havlicek,
Yeah,
who's a beast,
100%.
obviously,
Yep.
and like a well-known guy in the Muay Thai scene and everything like that. So I think, like, all right, you're gonna fight this MMA guy, is another win for you, whatever.
Mhm.
Which, in hindsight, if I had looked at it the same way, that's how I would have thought. All right,
Yeah,
some MMA guy is gonna try doing Muay Thai, is gonna get smashed. Because
yep.
typically, if
That's how it
somebody
goes
from
usually. Yeah.
MMA, they're not going to
Yep.
have the game for Muay Thai. It's not going to work out. But I was a striker. I was a specialist. I had good Muay Thai for MMA,
Hmm.
but just overall, I was just a good striker. I was just a good fighter. From
Yeah.
fighting high level for so long. I had 20 pro fights against some of the best guys out there, and even
Yep.
though it's a different game, like that was my game was
Absolutely.
standing up. So it's like I think because especially at the time, my style was very, I guess kind of unorthodox as far as somebody like Brett, who's a very clean,
Hmm.
traditional Muay Thai fighter. And I'm coming at him a little bit differently, like it was Muay Thai, but a little different, like
Yeah.
I'm not. I wasn't like throwing body kicks at him. You know, it was
Mhm.
almost a good thing because now if you go back and even watch my very last fight for Warriors Cup, my style is completely like it's
Yeah.
changed a whole ton. Now I fight a
Yeah.
lot more traditional. Now I'm looking to land my body kicks. I'm looking to score, like Thai style. I still
Yeah.
have all the stuff that I had before, my boxing, my everything else, but like my game has changed so much. So I feel like it's almost a good thing that I didn't know that I should be throwing body kicks
Yeah.
at him, you know, that
Yeah.
I should be like, all right, punches shouldn't be scoring that well, you know, because then I probably would have tried to play his game too
Right.
much, and then he would have beat me, you know.
Yeah,
But
which is dumb. And I feel like you know, when I originally came out and started doing it, focusing a little bit more on Muay Thai, I was like, man, these guys like don't move their head, like they don't really set anything up, you know, like, so that was, I think the approach to me was like that, and then even just the like to me I'm almost like, man, to be like, all right, I'm gonna try to learn this style and then beat these guys at their style, almost like low key disrespectful. So I was like, I'm gonna come at it with something that I know that they don't work as much as I, and try to use my, you know, my fire against their fire type thing, you know.
mm,
And a lot of people were like I said, were kind of like, that's not traditional and this and that. And I'm like, man, we're just trying to win fights, you know, like
mm,
and it's cool. Like I said, I appreciated your style because you had that same thing. And then over the years, same thing. Like I said, where it does feel a little bit like MMA. Like if you came into MMA a striker and you're in there a long time, like you're eventually gonna start getting good jujitsu too. You can get some submissions because you got to. You know what I mean? So yeah, to seeing that it has been really cool to see you develop that style,
mm.
and now you are that kind of guy where it's like, all right, well, how do I train for Chip? Because like I watched his last fight and I'm like, okay, he's gonna be a little more kick heavy, and then you come out and box their face off for a round, and then they're like, oh shit, we gotta think OG Chip, and then you come out the next round, start kicking on them, they're not gonna know what to do, you know?
Yeah, it's like it's great because I mean, even like if you look back in the day, like classic, like golden age Muay Thai in Thailand, you did see that, you know, and it's like,
Absolutely.
you know, somebody might be regarded as a Muay Cow, but then, you know, they start going Muay Femur on somebody and being
Yeah.
technical and winning the kick exchanges or look at like the person people most consider the GOAT, you know, Samart. Like
Mm-hmm.
Samart, obviously very Muay Femur, had great kicks, great teeps and everything like that, but he's a champion boxer as well. You
Yes.
know, so it's like, in my opinion, like me, I like to be like if I'm into something, no matter what it is, if it's Muay Thai, if it's cooking or whatever, like I want to like be as knowledgeable on the subject and as true to the subject as I possibly can. So when I switched over to Muay Thai, like I want to be good at Muay Thai. I was like
Yes.
I don't want like to be like, oh, he's doing this, he's doing that, or like winning not using Muay Thai. I was like how you said you thought it was like almost disrespectful to take their style and beat them at it. I was like, no,
Yeah.
I want to be the best at that style.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was like, I want to make everything I do as traditional as possible.
Yeah.
Because I'm like I want to win, of course. Like every single fight, I want to win, but it's like I care about how I win. Like if I'm not
Absolutely.
using Muay Thai, then it's like I don't know. But at the same time, all that stuff is Muay Thai. Like you said, it's like
Yeah. That's the thing.
rock, paper, scissors. I say that to my students all the time. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I want to have my boxing as good as it can possibly be. I want to
Mm-hmm.
have, my clinching as good as it can possibly be, my outside game with my kicks and stuff like that. And then you just tune it to the sport. In
Yep.
boxing, you're not going to be slipping and rolling as
Yeah.
much as you would in a boxing fight,
Right.
in a Muay Thai match because you're gonna get your head kneed off. But it's like I'm still gonna do it. But
Yeah.
so would like Samrak Kamsing like back in the
Yep.
day. Like he'd
Yep.
be over here slipping elbows, and same thing
Mm-hmm.
with Samart. It's like you could see their boxing come out even though it's a Muay Thai fight. But the fact that they're so good at boxing they knew how to implement it into their Muay Thai game because they're also really good at Muay Thai. So
Absolutely.
it's like I always feel like get really good at each part, and then you learn how to put it together in a way that'll work for you, like within that framework of Muay Thai. Because otherwise,
Absolutely.
it's like if you take a straight up boxer that's never done Muay Thai bring him into a Muay Thai fight and he starts trying to Philly shell and do
Yeah.
stuff, he's gonna get killed. You know,
Yeah.
you gotta have it within that game of Muay Thai in order to for it to work and like kind of adjust it accordingly, you know. So
Yeah.
that's the fun part for me, you know, it's kind of
Yeah, and I get that was the thing. You know, I got a little frustrated when we first started, like, getting a little bit of attention for winning fights and stuff, because people were like, oh, they're not doing Muay Thai, or they're not doing traditional Muay Thai, and I was like, man, you guys don't know shit, because I'm like, you guys are thinking that body kicks are like the only thing that make, like, there is Muay mat, there is Muay femur, there's multiples. Like, I'm like, if you really understand the sport, like, you understand that there's multiple styles. It's not just the one. There's
hmm
not just the one style. I used to go to Thailand to train at Sit Chai with Pornsene, because he was like he used to
Yep.
bang people
Low
out.
kicker.
You know what I mean?
Yep, yep. Hands
uh,
and low kicks.
Hands and low kicks. You know what I mean? That was just so I think for a long time I kind of had a chip on my shoulder of like, all right, well, if you guys don't like it, we're gonna do it more. And then
Mhm.
but yeah, if you're not working on all the other stuff, you're gonna fall short in some fights too. And I think regardless, like, you want to train all of it so that you understand how to beat it too,
Mhm.
not just use it.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Like at the end of the day,
yeah.
it's whatever's effective is supposed to be what scores. You know,
Right.
even in Thailand, you know, I mean, sure, traditionally speaking, body kicks score higher, but that's just because of the nature of the kick. Like if you kick somebody really hard with the leg and the body, you're more likely to have an effect on them. You know, they're gonna lose balance.
Absolutely.
You know, a leg is much bigger than a hand. It's hard to hit
Mhm.
somebody clean enough in the head to have an effect. You know, so it's
Yeah.
like people have good solid defense in Muay Thai. They got good strong posture. So it's like in order to crack somebody with a punch and have as big of an effect as you would if you kicked them, you know, it's not as easy to do. So that's why the kicks score higher. You know, it's not for the
Absolutely.
nature of just the kick by itself. You know, it's because the technique required, because it's very visible to the gamblers up in the stands. You know,
Mhm.
that's why it scores high. Same thing with like a big straight knee to the gut. You know, that's gonna most likely have a big effect on somebody. They're gonna
Yeah.
punch over or whatever it is, and that's why it scores high. An elbow scores high because it's most likely to cut you open. It shows an effect. You know, so it's like because of that, that's why these strikes are scoring, you know, as they do. But it's like if I can rock your head back with a punch, or if I can make you limp with a low kick, that's showing an effect as well. So that's also scoring, you know. So it's like whatever you can do well to hurt the other person and cause an effect, then all right, cool, you're winning.
1,000%. And then how you were training with Mark DellaGrotte for a while too, right?
Yeah, so the school I started out with, as far as when I started MMA over here, like I said, Cape Cod Fighting Alliance, that was with Pat Schultz and
Mhm.
Mike Gresh. And they were both students of DellaGrotte. So we were like an
Okay.
affiliate gym. So I came up through them fighting out of there at a CCFA, and I ended up teaching at CCFA. And every Monday, pretty much for the whole time I was training there, as soon as I been there a couple years, we started going up to Siyatong on Monday nights for sparring. So I was pretty much a fixture at sit every Monday for
Yeah.
sparring. But yeah, it was just like so Sit Yatong through the affiliation of the gym that I was training at, but we were pretty much just up there for sparring every Monday. But yeah, I was there through the glory days when the mats were filled with killers and everything like that. But I was never like a member there, you know,
Yeah.
so I didn't really do classes there or anything like that. But because I was like an affiliate guy, I was part of the family, so it's like I would always like, especially once I started doing Muay Thai and later on in my career, as I'd been there for so long, they would come down to train with us and stuff like that. Like Crew Mark would be in my corner sometimes.
Yeah.
Crew Massey to this day, Crew Mark Massey, he still comes in and corners me at whenever I have a fight. I'll hit him up. Hey, you want to take a trip to wherever? Even though I don't
Yeah.
really, I haven't been up there since I've opened my gym really.
Yeah.
But yeah, Massey will still come and corner me like wherever I'm at,
That's sick.
without any hesitation. So it's still the family,
Yeah.
essence of it. And it's funny because like I'm almost linked to Sityodtong another way too, because like a lot of the guys that I studied when I'm switching over to Muay Thai from MMA
Hmm.
were Sityodtong greats from
Yeah,
Thailand. You know, studying Samar, studying Yade Cha and Kang Tor Ni and Cha Chai, like all these guys that I, study my game after because I love that Muay femur style that especially like Sityodtong and the golden age was like kind of one of the main gyms for it. So it's
absolutely.
like that's a separate link to Sityodtong right there.
Yeah.
So like yeah,
No,
and I,
that's sick. It's cool to have that lineage like that.
yeah, for sure.
That's really dope.
Yep,
Yeah,
and I
Mark is the
love
man.
it.
He obviously became famous for being an MMA coach, but obviously all of us in the striking game know that his where his genius really lies too.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
yeah, that's badass. That's badass.
Mhm.
And then, yeah. So it's funny that you already kind of talked about Brett because I was going to talk through the lion fight stuff a little bit, and I do remember that first fight. Because I always look and I'm like, oh man, I was like, I looked up your record back then on probably on like Sherdog or something like
Mhm.
that, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I was like, man, they better not sleep on this guy. He's fought some people. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I saw a little bit of footage and stuff, and I was like, man, he's sharp. So I wasn't shocked, but obviously,
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
um, it was a big, like, oh shit, who is this guy? Because Brett had already been WBC champ at that point. He beat Cyrus on
Mhm.
Warriors Cup, I think not too long before then.
Yeah,
definitely within
yeah.
like a year or
I
so. I
remember
think
seeing that.
around
Yeah.
that time. Yeah. So that was a huge introduction to you, obviously. So, once you win that first fight, then like like mentally, where are you at? Like, what are you thinking now? Like game plan wise, like just going with the flow, like
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was just
validation
so
a
much
little bit. Like, all right,
fun.
I'm
Yeah,
here. Yeah.
yeah, validation for sure. Because I remember for years at like towards the tail end of my MMA career, the whole time I was like, man, I don't even want to do this. I want to switch over to kickbox. I want to switch
Yeah.
over to Muay Thai. I want to switch over to something. But to make it happen was just, it was difficult because
Right.
I'm an MMA guy. I have no
Yeah.
Muay Thai experience, so I think I tried contacting different shows, and I didn't get no response because I didn't have like anybody helping me out or anything. I didn't
Right.
have
Right.
any connection in that game.
Yeah.
It's funny because you take the different combat sports and it's like a whole different clique. Like I went to a boxing show recently and it's like I don't know nobody
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I'm not in the boxing world.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
my game. But yeah, so I had like I said, I had a kickboxing fight first. And I remember in that one, the first time we like clinched up and then the ref said break, I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah. We
I
can
don't have to
stop.
worry
Yeah.
about defending a takedown or anything like that. It's awesome. So, but yeah, I remember like because Lion Fight was huge at the time,
Yeah.
and I would watch it all the time, and I would post on Facebook. I'm like, yo, I should be fighting in this. I feel like I'd be killing it. Da, da, da.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, the first few fights when I mean, I didn't lose in line fight until my last title defense because my hip was junk, but
Yeah.
still, I fought one of the baddest dudes out there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like at the beginning, it was like you said, validation. It was like,
Right.
see, I told y'all that,
I'm that dude.
if I got to fight people that had to stand up with me, that it
Right.
would go well. But it was also learning, because like I said, if I'm delving into something, then I want to represent it and I want to be as good at it as I can possibly be. So like,
Right.
I mean, I've already said how my game has transformed over these years, and the stuff that I know now about the game, eclipses what I knew at the beginning. And
Yeah.
it's funny to go back and look and see some of the things I was doing. I'm like, oh man, why are you letting them kick you in the arms and all this stuff? Why are you moving like that? Why are you doing this? And I'm like,
Right.
oh, like clean it up. But no,
Yeah.
it's cool
Nah,
to
you
see.
did it though. You accomplished that.
Mm,
I know I'm actually, I feel like a dickhead because I end up talking about this every, almost every podcast, but I've been linking up with a lot of people that I want to put into this documentary I'm going to start shooting in the summer. You're definitely somebody I would like to come up and film some stuff with, because it's
Mm,
the idea is to, and you know firsthand because you were right in the middle of it. But there was like that we had what I feel like was kind of like a golden era of American Muay Thai and a little bit of kickboxing from like 2012 to like 2017 2018,
mm,
which really
mhm,
coincided with Lion Fight and even Glory being here. And we had Can't Stop Crazy and just like all the gyms that were popping up, like the fighters were starting to win at IFMA and kind of turned the tide in that. There was just like it was just like a really exciting era for the sport, and obviously things are even better now. We got people on like bigger stages,
mhm.
WBC belts on people and shit. Like it's really dope. But there was just like a vibe back then that was like really exciting. Like I think even like Lion Fight was, I remember it was like we got somebody on the first East Coast show, and I remember like when we announced it, everybody was like, "What the fuck? That's
Mm.
crazy!" Like that was like getting to the UFC back then for Muay Thai, you know.
Yeah, pretty
And
much.
then
Yeah.
it kind of turned into a thing where people were kind of trying to springboard from there to Glory. Some people that wanted
Mm,
to do kickboxing, like they were like, all right, I'll go do Muay Thai so I can really get over here. And it was like it was a crazy thing, but it was exciting because there was like a path a little bit, you know. It's like I fight
yep.
here, I do
Yep.
this, I can maybe get to Lion Fight. If I can stay at Lion Fight, that's cool. Maybe I move over to kickboxing. It was just like it was a cool time. So yeah, I want to get with like you, Asa, a lot of people from the East Coast that were in that era. I talked to a bunch of
Mhm.
the Can't Stop Crazy people and stuff like that already too, and I just want to encapsulate that era for people for because I have a whole gym full of kids that didn't have no idea about that
That
time.
was crazy.
You know what I mean? It's weird, right? And you think because we were
Yeah.
in it, so it's like,
Yeah.
oh man, like this was going on. We had Lion with this and that, and they're just like, oh yeah, Lion fight. That's crazy. You know, they don't have no idea like how
Yeah.
awesome
What
that
it
shit
was.
was. You
Yep.
know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanna I want to make a documentary on it. To pay homage to the game, obviously, make sure people like you and Asa and Paul even like that were
Mm.
like really, pioneering, kind of punching their way through, get their flowers and stuff too, and like forever. You know what I'm saying? Like there needs to be
Yeah.
stuff where people should be, studying you one day too. So yeah, that's the idea behind it. We're gonna try to start shooting probably like either probably late June, I think, or either early or late June. I'm gonna start filming. I'll reach out and start scheduling times to come meet up with everybody and stuff like that too. So I
Yeah.
definitely want to
So, yeah.
get you in there, brother man. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yep.
Tell me about the MTGP, dude. You got so it was you, Eddie, and Amin,
I
right?
mean, yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Man, that was one of those. That was one of those things. You're all, I was super like, man, I wish I was on that trip because I know it was awesome times. Walk me through that a little bit.
Yeah, that was dope. That was actually my first title defense.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd won the belt, so I'd had, five or so fights for Lion Fight, and then I fought Paul for the inaugural cruiserweight title for them because they hadn't had a cruiserweight champ before. So me and Paul
Yeah,
fought for that, and I got it. So then they had me defend it on that show that they co-promoted with Muay Thai Grand Prix, and they put that belt on the line as well. So it was for me defending mine and possibly winning theirs. But yeah, it was dope because, like you said, Eddie was out there, Mean was
yeah,
out there. I'd already fought on a few cards with both of them, so it's like those like the homies. Even to
yeah,
this day, those are the homies. I haven't seen them
yeah,
in a long time, but those are my boys right there.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, that was dope. I mean, my first time fighting abroad, obviously I'd fought, all over the states doing MMA and I don't think I'd fought anywhere else yet in line fight. I think everything had been at Foxwoods. But yeah, so
Foxwoods, yeah,
first time like I fought, it was in London. It was at the O2 Arena, like the Indigo within it. So it was a dope venue.
that was fire.
Having two other guys, making the trip with you and
Mhm,
everything. So yeah, I fought a guy named Jordan Smith,
mhm.
who at the time I believe he was undefeated. I think he was like 10-0, 11-0 or something like that. So still earlier in his career too. I think he did kickboxing as well. And yeah, I kind of shut him out in a 5 round decision. So defended my belt for the first time, and I became the first ever American to win a Muay Thai Grand Prix belt. So it was
Fire.
kind of dope because
Yeah,
that's a you know arguably an even bigger promotion than line fight because they
absolutely. Yeah,
they go all over the place in different
yep.
countries and stuff like that. So it's like to be the first person ever from the States who I think still to this day I don't think another American has won one,
No,
because
definitely
they
not.
don't do
Yeah,
shows over here, they just do them over there.
yep.
Um, yeah, so that was dope. Yeah, for sure.
Man, that lion fight belt was dope too. That's still one of the hardest belts ever made in combat sports, in my opinion.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, that shit was such a cool belt. They did a good
Hmm.
job with that. It was such a yeah. I think just everything in general they were doing with Access TV was popping back then. Like um, even yeah, just Foxwoods. Like I miss Foxwoods. I've been talking to Warriors Cup about they're looking at starting to like move around a little bit, do some shows in some
Hmm.
other places too, and I was like, man, y'all should go to Foxwoods. Like I was like, I would love to just be back there again. And they're looking at some stuff up there too. I don't want to blow up their spot. And we're actually working on the MGM Grand down here. We have an MGM Grand here in Maryland that's like right on the water. It's beautiful.
Okay.
I used to like drive down there when they were building it and just like send Muay Thai vibes into this building.
Hmm.
I'm like, we will do Muay Thai here one day. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So we're working on it. They're into it. Their booker's a fucking weirdo though. I don't know what's going on with them. They're just like dragging their feet, and I don't
Hmm.
know. So I'm gonna start going over there and harassing them until we can get that done. Because I would love to see the show. Come down here and then just be in some other venues and stuff like that. Because I think that's a big part of what helped Lion Fight be what it was. It was just it was in a casino, it was on TV,
Hmm.
stuff like that. Is a little thing that kind of makes it seem like a bigger
Yeah,
thing.
for sure.
Because the fights the cards that Warriors Cup are doing are like just as big as some of the Lion fights card
Hmm.
were. You know what I mean? It's just you just got you put them in a casino and put them on a streaming service, and you're like, oh shit, here we go,
Yeah,
we're
for
we're
sure.
back.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know?
Mine fight was dope too because they were bringing in like the best guys. They had
Yes.
Yacht and Clyde fighting on there. They had Liam Harrison. They
Regan
had
Ursel versus Joe
uh,
Natowai. You remember? Were you
Regan.
on that card?
Yes, actually, I believe I was.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, they had like Onion Topic used to fight on
Mm.
there, and like so
Yep.
many guys that
Runger
were
V,
from
fucking
like Malapet,
yeah,
like
Malapet fought
they
fought Justin on there one time. Malapet
yeah.
fought Pinka on there one time too. I remember
Mhm.
that fight was
Mhm.
awesome.
Yep. Yeah, so it was crazy, like the level of people, to see Yachts and Clyde on a show in the States, it's like,
Amazing. Yeah.
that's a big deal.
He's
But
my he's my favorite. He was my favorite southpaw. So I have like uh when I first started, like I was like, all right, I'm gonna spend a whole year just being southpaw, like so I can like
mm-hmm.
really like get into it. And and Yotzen Cloud was like he was like my guru. I'm just like watching his stuff. I'm like, okay, just left kick the shit out of him. Got it. And so that was like my original game. And then over the years, started taking little things from other southpaws that I liked, and then eventually kind of round everything out. Spent some
Yep.
time, like you said, in Thailand with my guy June Thipnamit. He was vicious. Rear low, he would kick people's back leg out, just like so many
Mm-hmm.
finishes
Yep.
with that. So I added
Mm-hmm.
that in and stuff like, and obviously Petrosian, fade 2-3.
Mm-hmm.
Just taking those little ingredients and sprinkling them in. But
Absolutely.
yeah, bro, he was so vicious. So then, when Lion Fight is coming to its end, like where are you at mentally with that? Like where are you thinking? Like where do you want to fight? Like what you know what I mean? Like where were you at with that when that was going down?
Yep. Well, I mean, I ended up defending that title, a ton of times. I think
Hmm.
I forget if it was 8 times,
Yeah, I
nine
was gonna
times,
say at
something like
least
that.
7, 8, something like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was 8 or something. So, yeah, I think it was January of 2020. I defended it at the Hard Rock in Vegas,
Uh,
and at that time, obviously that's right before COVID hit. I remember my like when I was throwing kicks, when I come into the gym and start kicking, it like took a little bit to warm up,
yeah.
so starting to feel a little weird. Um, but like, I could still do it. But then, so right after that fight, like everything shut down,
Yeah.
so the gym shut down, no more fights, no nothing, obviously because of COVID. So in that time period, I'm not, throwing kicks, I'm not doing nothing until a few months later when I finally have one of my students come over and he's holding pass for me. And the first kick I throw, I'm like, ugh, like what the hell? That feels weird.
Yeah.
And from then until 2021, basically my hip just went to shit, so I didn't know at the time what was wrong with it, and it ended up being that my hip was like bone on bone arthritic. I had bone spurs, so I couldn't even move my leg around. I couldn't put my body into the position to throw body kicks. I couldn't really even kick pads. I couldn't do nothing.
Man.
It just wouldn't move in that direction. It didn't really hurt. It just wouldn't go. It's like trying to bend your arm the opposite direction. It just doesn't do it. But so
Wow.
Lion Fight came back in summer of 2021, I believe, and they offered me a fight to defend my belt again. I think for like the eighth or ninth time or whatever. Yeah, and against Jacob Benko in.
Hmm.
At first, it was supposed to be Germany. Oh no! At first, it was supposed to be Gerardo Atti, I think, in Germany. But then they switched it to Jacob Benko in
Yeah.
Italy. And if you know Jacob Benko, he's one of the top ranked guys in the
Yeah.
world, and he's 6'7" or something crazy like that.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Um, so I'm like, all right, cool. Even though I couldn't, I couldn't, I couldn't really throw kicks or anything like that.
Yeah.
I could throw low kicks, I could punch,
Yeah.
but I couldn't kick pads. I couldn't
Mm.
even sprint, like so. It was like getting ready for the fight was interesting, and because of COVID, nobody could come out really. Like so
Yeah. Fuck.
I tried to ask Crew Massey, but he didn't have his passport and he tried to put a rush on it and then he got his passport, I think like the day after,
Oh,
I had to
fuck.
go up there,
Yeah.
something like that. So he didn't get his passport in time. And like nobody else was like vaccinated or whatever. So you had to be vaccinated to get over there.
Hmm.
So other
Hmm.
people weren't vaccinated, so they couldn't go. So I'm like, yeah, whatever. So I'm like, you know what? This sounds like an occasion where a lot of other people would be like, "Oh no, like
Mount.
I'm injured and my
Yeah.
team can't come. I'm not gonna fight." Where me, I look at somebody like Sylvie Von Douglas or something like that because I follow her Patreon and stuff like that, and she always is taking fights
Yeah.
short notice in different parts of Thailand, and she shows up and like, "Oh, I was supposed to fight this person," and then end up being this person, and they're 15 kilos heavier
Yeah.
than what they were supposed to be, but whatever. And in my head, I'm thinking, all right, whatever, it's Muay Thai.
Right.
If I win, in my mind, I was thinking I'm going to find a way to win, even though I don't have all my weapons, like I'm still gonna win.
Yeah.
Like that was my thinking. Even though he was a beast, even though I didn't have my team with me, and I was like, good, I'll take all the credit, because I'm doing it without anybody,
Right.
and I'm like,
Right. Hell yeah.
this will be a great story, that see, like, I went, even though, it wasn't ideal conditions, and I still did it, which I'm still happy I did, even
No.
though I lost a split decision. But it's like good. It's Muay Thai. You're supposed to lose. If
Hmm.
you don't lose in Muay Thai, it's almost looked upon negatively because at that point I was still undefeated, and it's like not that I mean, I was fighting, whoever they told me to fight, and I was fighting
Absolutely. Yep.
obviously very good people, some of the best guys in the world. I was beating like top ranked guys, but still, it's like, at some point, if you're fighting the best of the best, you're not going to win at some point. You know, a lot of
Yeah.
people thought I did win. I didn't think I won. I thought I
Yeah.
lost, but just because he had been landing big body kicks and long knees and stuff like that. But he's also 7 feet tall, so it was very
Yeah.
easy for him to knee me in the chest.
Yeah.
And I'm responding with hands and stuff. So like, if you look at the Muay Thai math, you know, his
Yeah.
strikes
Yeah.
are $20 bills and mine are $5 bills. Even though I was showing effects, so it's like you can make that argument. But
Yeah.
regardless, it was a good experience. It was, you know, like pushing through something that a lot of people probably would have been like, nah, I'm not gonna do it, you know. So I'm happy I did it. Um,
Absolutely.
but yeah,
Now
then
you got the story that you're talking about, and that's
exactly.
something I try to impart to our people too. I'm like, look, there's not a ton of money in this shit, so you better do it. You better love it if you're doing it, first of all. And if you love it, then fucking like everything should be about like when you look back and you be like, yeah, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't like I don't even think you can do anything in life and not have any regrets, but you want to at least be feel like, all right, I did on and like we like us out here in the general public, we didn't know about your hip, and I didn't realize you didn't have a corner for that fight either. So even just the that makes that even cooler. Like I'm like, damn, like it was a close fight, but I'm like, man, under all those circumstances, like it definitely speaks to your level, obviously, because that's yeah, most people are just gonna crumble in that situation or not even go. So hell yeah,
Yeah,
brother, that's
yeah.
sick.
So it's like after that, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna fight again until I get my hip fixed. So that was the one part, and during that part, that's when or that time, that's kind of when Lion Fight was you know
Yeah,
on the decline or whatever. Like they pretty much only had like Steve Walker was still fighting for him, which was still a
yeah,
big name, but like Eddie had went on to one. Amin was doing other things, you know. A
yeah.
lot of people were like Gaston Bolanos had long gone over to like MMA and stuff.
Bellator
So,
and all that.
like,
Yeah,
you know, a lot of people weren't there anymore, and they weren't really like, you know, like they weren't what they used to be.
and had they
And for
lost the
me,
TV deal by then?
yeah, because I mean, even in my course of fighting for them, they had like they were on HDNet, which became XTV. Then they were
Yeah,
on CBS Sports, and then they were
yeah,
on this other streaming thing, and then they were on this other streaming thing. So it's like they're
yeah,
jumping around from thing to thing to thing. But yeah, so like when I was recovering and in that time period, I also wanted to branch out. You know, I didn't want to be the guy at the end of the career that was like just the lion fight guy. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
like the Muay Thai world didn't look at that belt as much, you know. I mean, they did, you know, if somebody like a lot of big name people in the Muay Thai world had that belt,
Hell yeah.
but they were also WBC champions. They were
Mhm.
also, you know, winning titles
Yeah.
and other things. So I was like, you know what? Like I want to win other belts too. I want to, you know, make my mark, you know, not just in lion fight, even though again I was fighting the top ranked guys in the world still, but you know, doing it on other stages, you know, to get your name out there, you know, like a lot. So yeah, so I finally got my hip fixed. Had to get a hip resurfacing, which is funny because the only reason I knew about that was John Wayne Parr had it years back.
Oh
You know,
shit.
so it's
Yeah.
like, you know, by John Wayne Parr getting it, I knew about it, so I knew to ask about it, and then that sent me to the person in Manhattan that I had to go to get it fixed. So, you know, got it fixed, and you know, after 6 months, could throw body kicks again, could hit
Mm.
pads, could do everything. I was like, oh wow, this is like having. And in that time also that I wasn't fighting, well, I wasn't able to use my kicks and stuff like that. I got so good at like establishing other things, and I was reaching, learning, and I feel like I increased my knowledge, my IQ so much that when I did get the hip fix, I was like, wow, it's like how the you know the old athlete always says, if only I could put this mind in a young body
Yeah.
again. I felt like I got to do that. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, oh shit, I got my legs, I got my kicks again, and now like I have all this newfound knowledge that I picked up in the last few years. So yeah, so I came back and I I I I would have fought again for line fight, but
Yeah.
they didn't like that I also wanted to try to get a WBC belt, that I wanted to try to get this and that, whatever,
Which is
which, you
crazy,
know,
but yeah.
understandable for them, like whatever, it's their business. But I was like, no, I'm not going to be locked down to just one thing. So I didn't have anything set up. So I kind of actually it was funny because in 2023, I did the nationals and I kind
Yeah.
of registered almost last minute because I didn't have anything else going, and
Yeah.
I had never done a Muay Thai tournament before,
Right.
so
Because you
I
went
showed
straight
up.
pro, you never had a chance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll do this just to like kind of test out the new hip and
Mhm.
get the rust out, get back to
Yeah.
doing something, get back to competing in one shape or form. Um, so yeah, that was cool. Like doing that, I ended up getting to fight twice against Huxley,
Yep.
another tall kid, which was cool because
Super
he was the
fucking
first.
tall. What the fuck?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was the first one I was matched up with,
Yeah.
and I was like, man, figures. I'm always matched up with these tall ass dudes, but it was like,
Mhm.
all right, cool. Now I can show what I would have been able to do against Jacob
Yeah. Yeah.
with my legs back, against
Mhm.
another guy that's like basically his size,
Yeah.
and obviously he's a young kid and he's just coming up, so I had a lot more experience in him, but he's gonna be a beast. He already is a
Mhm.
beast. But and then the next day I got to fight Aaron Ortiz, who
Yeah.
obviously is like a very good fighter and very seasoned, especially in that
Super fucking
format.
active right then too.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
and he's done those tournaments like a ton, and like we got to have a great fight,
It was a
and
beautiful fight.
yeah, and I was glad because like I got to come back and pressure test myself against somebody good, right
Yep.
out the gate. All right, cool, like cool. I get to fight against somebody who's established, and all right, now I know I'm back to
Yeah.
being like shook off the rust and everything. It's when I showed up to the tournament, I thought they were 5 round fights because I was just used to five
Oh
rounds.
yeah.
And it wasn't until the day before my fight where I watched the first matches. I was say, wait,
You're
hold
like, what
on.
the fuck?
And I'm like, oh,
They-
these are 3 rounds? And I'm like, oh shit, I gotta adjust the way I do things. I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
whatever. I didn't really care too much. I was like,
Yeah.
whatever. I just wanna fight and get
Yeah.
back to fighting. And then after that, I got the chance to fight my first ever rematch against Mark McKinnon, who I'd fought years back for Lion
Mhm.
Fight. He was one of my title defenses, and he was actually the only one to ever drop me. He gave
Yeah.
me an 8 count because he threw a spinning elbow, and I had my hand up, but it snuck right behind and like hit me in
Oh,
like almost the
yeah.
back of
That's
the
the
head. So
curtain pull
I
down
came
right
right back
there.
up. And but yeah, so I got a rematch against him up in Canada for Kieran Kettle's promotion, Muay Thai
Yeah.
World Cup. And I was like, okay, cool. It's my first ever rematch in any combat sport. I'd never fought somebody twice before. So I'm like, one, this is my first pro fight back since getting my hip fixed,
Yeah.
and first pro fight back since 2021. So now it's 2024. It
Right.
was crazy, like a long ass layoff. So I'm like, and I'm fighting the same person again. I want to make sure I can beat him worse than I did the first time, or more
Yeah.
impressively, and put to use like a lot of the new stuff. But to come back correct, I went to Thailand and I trained at PK Senchai for pretty much
Mm.
a month, just to make sure I was like ready to come back and have my first pro fight back, and because I just wanted to train in Thailand because I hadn't trained in Thailand for any fight yet,
Yeah.
and, like I gotta knock that off the bucket list too. So yeah, so came back, had my first pro fight back against him, and actually, his corner Kieran stopped it in between the fourth and fifth round.
Mm.
In between the rounds, he came in and he called it off.
Yeah.
Um, so that was dope having the first one back and doing what I said, like winning more convincingly than I did the first time, even though the first time I thought it was convincingly too, but still,
Yeah, yeah.
you know.
100%.
But yeah, so then obviously, fought this past September, and so oh yeah, against Mark, that was me winning the WBC international title.
Yeah.
And then got to defend it on Warriors Cup back in September against Vinny from Australia. So
Yeah.
it's cool, like coming back and immediately getting to
Just
fight for major
boom.
titles
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
right back to it.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
having
it's right
to.
where you should be, brother. Like, I mean, wherever we are, the game knows, you know what I mean? It's awesome to see you in there. I remember a while back at one point asking you about kickboxing because I was like your style, like you would dominate in kickboxing, and I remember you telling me you're like, no, I'm a Muay Thai fighter. Like this is where I want to be. So yeah, I think everybody knows where you're at and wants to see you, keep on rising. So what's next right now? Do you got anything like planned coming up?
I'm trying, man. It's It's still a strange like adjustment because with
Mhm.
Lion Fight, I was a champ and they would just hit me up after a month or two and like, hey, like your next fight is gonna be against like this guy
Right.
at this place on this date. And I'm like, all right, cool. You know, like,
Kinda
but
easy.
for when you
Not
have a
easy, but
WB,
not
yeah,
less something less to worry about. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But with the WBC belt, obviously WBC isn't just one promotion. I
Yeah.
won it in Canada for Muay Thai World Cup. I
Right.
defended it on Warriors Cup. You
Yeah.
know, so it's like you kind of have to almost get it done yourself, kind of like kind of you know approach these different promotions and see who wants to host the title fight and who
Yeah.
can do it and who can,
Yeah. They gotta pay
and
them
then like
fees.
who can you reach out to
Yeah.
like get it done. So it's like that's still like a an adjustment thing to me, because
Yeah.
I'm my own coach, I'm my own agent,
Manager.
manager,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do everything myself. Which at this point, I have good ties to the different promotions and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So I can't just hit them up and ask. But yeah, so we'll see. I don't know. Like I'd like to get back to it. Like whenever. It's crazy
Yeah.
because now it's like I'm older. I'm 36. I still feel fantastic. I don't feel slow or like I've lost a beat. If anything, I feel like I'm better than I've ever been.
Yeah.
But in between the fights, like now I have my own gym, so it's like going taking off to go fight for a week or something like that. I got to worry about who's running the gym and who's
Mhm.
taking over classes and this and that. So it's almost like now in between, I'm not as like, all right, can't wait to fight the next time. I hope I fight in a
Yeah,
month.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
all right, no, I'm fine if it's a few months away because I can
Yeah.
get back to teaching and getting my fighters fighting and stuff like that because I got to
Yeah.
have them going too.
Getting
But
bills
now I'm
paid.
back, now I'm like, all right, it's been long enough. I need to, I want to fight. I want to,
Yeah.
I still want to get bigger title. I still want the WBC world title. I want to defend
Mhm.
this one again. So hopefully I get to defend it again soon. It's funny because now Brett is the WBC rep for
Yeah.
Northeast. So like I talk to Brett, pretty often. And, like we try to get stuff going. But yeah, and I mean, shit. It's like when you're 36, you're not gonna fight, forever. Not that I
Yeah.
plan on stopping. It's like I hopefully I'll be like Senchai, being 40 something and still, still getting to it. But
Yeah, I feel like that's changed so much even just in the time that I've been in the sport. I remember it was always like, yeah, 28 to like 34 or something. And I'm like, man, you see guys going way past that, like doing great, you know?
depends on your
Especially
style.
as your IQ adjusts and smart fighters like you take those injuries, and I call it surrounding the dragon, where you're like, okay, this thing's hurt, but I got all this other shit I can focus on, and this I can focus on, and I feel like really good fighters come back more dangerous after an injury because it's like you're like Daredevil, which we're going to talk about, heightens all your other
Mhm.
senses if you're smart, and you kind of
Yep.
hone all your other skills.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dope. Have you considered, like, have you thought about one or any of the other promotions like that? Would you ever be interested in something like that?
It's funny because Mike Chavello, the voice, he
Yeah.
used to be the obviously the commentator for Lion Fight. Him
Greatest
and
commentator of all times.
yeah, yep, him and Pat Miletich always called
Yeah.
my fights for Lion Fight. So I became friends with those guys.
Mhm.
And Mike ended up working for one,
Yeah.
and he had messaged me on Facebook, and he was like, "Hey, mate, like I'm working for one now, and they're gonna start because it was when I think they were still doing only MMA fights, and he was like,
Yeah.
hey, they're gonna start doing." Striking, they're going to start doing kickboxing and Muay Thai. They asked me who we should reach out to, and I said you.
Yeah.
And but at the time, that's when I was signed to Lion
Yeah,
Fight.
you're still with, yeah, shit.
So I was
Yeah.
still with Lion Fight, and I was like, oh man, like da da da. At this point, I like obviously one is great, and
Mhm.
one you get paid the most, you get the most eyes on you. But I'm such a purist
Yeah.
that I don't love the like. Obviously, I'll tune into one if there's like because they got so many great fighters fighting and all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like if you watch the one Friday night shows from Lumpini, it's like they're
Mhm.
just swinging for the fences in the little
Yeah.
gloves. Like it's
Yeah.
I'm a technician. You know,
Yeah.
I appreciate watching the chess match of Muay
Yeah.
Thai, you know?
Yep. Yep.
So if anything, I prefer RWS. Like I like watching RWS a lot, Roger
Yeah.
Domingue World Series. That would be a fun one to fight for.
Hell
It's
yeah.
funny because my last opponent, Vinny Victoria, he fought for them like a month ago, you know, so he's
Yeah.
already fought a couple times since I fought him, you know, and it's I mean
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
in
Yeah. That's
Australia, so
sick.
it's a lot easier. But yeah, so one RWS is starting to do more big people fights, you know, instead of
Yeah.
just the
Big
little
shit.
guys.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, man, like I would love to get on an RWS show. That would be I think that would be dope because I feel like they blend the traditional and the old school and the new school like perfectly. The production value is crazy. Like at the shows, they got
Yeah. That new stadium is crazy.
yeah, it's like they got the thing on the roof
Yeah.
now, like the
Yeah.
freaking big, you know, whatever display. But they also have the music, you know, and they also
Yeah.
let them do the Y crew and the Ramoy like before each fight, and they if you go to a show, they you know they have the MC or whatever, or the automated voice, or like they explain, oh, the music is the heart of Muay Thai, so they explain what it is to people.
Yeah.
But then in between fights, they also have a DJ, and they have like the jumbotron of people up
Yeah.
there like it's a sports game. You also it's like they combine the old school and the new very well, and the fights are still like highly technical Muay Thai fights. You can still be like Muay Femur or Muay
Mhm.
Cow, and they're not going to break the clinch up after 2 seconds like they do in one. And
Yeah.
you know, people aren't just going to be swinging for the fences looking for a knockout, which obviously in one, that's what they're going to do. They're wearing little gloves, and you could win $50,000 as a bonus. So
Yeah.
why wouldn't you? You know, if
Yeah.
you're a
Yeah.
guy
Yeah.
coming from East Sun or something like that, of course you're gonna try knocking somebody out for 50,000 American dollars, like
Yeah.
no brainer. Is it what I like to watch? I mean, it's entertaining, but no, I mean, I like watching the chess match.
You
You
want
know,
to
I
see
like
the chess?
watching
Yeah, no, I
the
can dig it.
kick to kick.
I
You know,
definitely understand that. Have you tried to reach out to anyone at RWS like to set something
no,
up? Or you're just kind
no,
of taking your time right now and
yeah, I
just
mean,
focusing on your gym?
yeah, mostly focused on the gym, but it's like also I don't know who I would reach out to.
Yeah.
I'm sure like obviously that's in Thailand, so I'm sure like if I was in Thailand, like I could
Oh
make it
yeah.
happen. You
Yeah, yeah.
know,
I think if you were out there visiting, you'll probably end up on one of those
yeah,
shows.
yeah. But it's
They'd be like, Chip's in town. Let's get his ass in here. Yeah.
so it's like I
Yeah.
don't know, like if I could reach out at like I would love to like reach out ahead of time and set up a match
Nah, yeah,
for
that's the move for
RWS and then
sure.
like kind of schedule a trip around that. You know, that would be ideal. Or just going out there just chat with them.
You should talk to Corley. I
Mm.
would reach out to
Oh, yeah,
Corley
yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah, cause he's plugged in and yeah, yeah, because I think him, but between RWS and then maybe even WMC titles, you can get both of them things.
Mhm.
I think would be yeah, you know what I mean. Another dope way to you can get all three. You get the have the
Yep.
OG Lion fight, get the WBC, get you a WMC, and then go over
Mhm.
there to RWS. So yeah, should I would reach out to Corley for sure. I think
Yeah, absolutely.
he's such a he's such a good helper of the game. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So
Yep.
yeah, I think that'd be dope. I would love to see you over there for sure too. How's the gym going?
It's going well.
Yeah.
It's just a little place.
Yep.
It's just me. I teach all the classes.
Yep. Yep.
I don't have anybody else teaching, but I got the kids class. I got the teens. I got the adults. You know, all levels.
Yeah.
Got the fighters. So it's awesome. I have it's cool. I got little kids that fight. I just had this little kid. It's actually it's funny because my buddy's son,
Yeah.
and he's been training since I opened the gym. He's actually the reason I have, my kids class available for ages 5 because at the time I was opening, I was planning on doing like ages 7 or 8 and up
Yeah. Yeah.
for
Yeah.
the kid class. And then my boy was like, no, like my kid is coming there. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, you better figure it out. And he was only 5 at the time. So I'm like, all right, whatever. I'll have to figure out
Yeah.
a way,
Give him a
so
shot.
I did a class for ages 5 to 9. And it's funny because now this kid has still been there. He's 7 now. He's a tiny little thing, but his
Yeah.
technique is ridiculous. I posted
That's
on
fire.
on the gym page a couple days ago. You see him; he's blocking and returning body kicks and stuff, and
Oh
he's
damn, I have
teaching
to check
people
it
as they
out.
come in. He's just a tiny little 7-year-old, but he's doing stuff that you see like professional ties do in
Yeah.
their fights, which is dope. But so yeah, I got the little kids. I got obviously like my own fighters, like the adults. I got my kid Kyle, who's gonna be at the nationals this upcoming week.
Well, weights he doing?
Um, that's a good question. I want to say like was it 158 or something like that?
Okay. Is he novice or intermediate or
What how's it go? It goes novice
is
and then
novice the first, intermediate, and then elite? I think are the
okay, so
three.
he's doing novice then because he's
Novice.
only had
Okay,
a
cool.
few fights. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck yeah, that's
Uh,
awesome. I think it's
yeah.
good for I think it's good for them to, get in that mix and like the because like you've seen it and you luckily had the experiences you had for MMA like I said, which obviously helped you transition because you had fought some high level fighters, stuff like that, but you once you've been in the game long enough, like you run out of Americans to fight quick, because there's usually only like two or three in your weight class, and then
Mhm.
and then that's even if they will fight you in the first place, and then
Yeah.
beyond that, without lion fight or something like that, which again, that's why I keep, I always try to point out, I'm like, man, lion fight. Everyone remembers how it ended, but I'm like, they did some really good shit for the sport, and even stuff like that
100%.
talking about like having keeping their champion busy like that, like that's a big deal, like people don't realize
Mhm.
like how hard it is out here, how bleak it can get, and to be bringing people in and making sure that you're getting good competition. But for this thing, it's like once you get past those first handful of fights as a pro, it's all fucking 50, 60 fight plus guys out there, like you know what I mean, like so I always tell our students, I'm like, if you eventually want to go pro, like your goal should be to get to these international competitions like IFMA, or
Mhm.
even we went to Waco Pan Am's, which is just as hard, just kickboxing, as
Mhm.
like the IFMA stuff, because you want to start fighting these guys, these amateurs that have 30 and 40 fights already, so you just
Mhm.
get used to like that number doesn't mean shit. You know what I mean? Like you got to get your level to where it's just like I fight at this level regardless of what my numbers say. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yep.
I know for a fact you can appreciate because that's what you've been doing too. Um, Hell yeah, that's awesome. I'm excited to see you guys there. We'll be rooting for you, of course, too. One thing I've been trying to ask, especially the Muay Thai gym owners, for tips, because I feel like one of the things that a lot of people are kind of behind on here is the clinch. So, you got any tips for beginning clinchers?
I mean, it's funny because recently, I kind of set aside one of the all level classes just for clinch,
Yeah.
because up until that point, I mean, we clinch every night, but I have so each night I have an all levels class, and then right
Mm-hmm.
after it, I have a more like intermediate advanced class. And
Yeah.
the intermediate advanced one we'll do some pads, we'll spar, and we'll clinch every single night.
Yep.
But I didn't have a class like teaching how to do the clinch and teaching how like little moves or little escapes or little
Yeah.
positions and whatnot. So I'm like, all right, I need to start building people up more, and getting them more proficient, in knowing I could do this when I'm in this position. I need to do that
Mm-hmm.
when I'm in that position, like whatever. So I on Wednesday nights I added that into the week structure, and even since then I feel like people have been getting a lot better at it.
Yeah.
But because it's tough to incorporate it into like a regular class. Obviously, our classes here in the States is a lot different than in Thailand. In Thailand,
Right.
you got a gym full of 15 trainers,
Yeah.
so every day you're going to be able to get pads, and then you're going to spar, and then you're going to clinch. It's kind of
Yep.
like, okay, today, guys, we're going to learn how to throw a teep. It's like
Yeah.
that's you learn by doing out there. It's
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
You got to teach people how to do things. Like you got to teach people how to hold pads for each other because you
Yeah.
can't hold pads for everybody. If there's
Yeah.
13 people in the class, I can't hold pads for everybody, obviously. So you guys got to learn how to hold pads for each other.
Yeah.
So it's a lot to try to. So at that point, you know, it's tough to, okay, now I'm going to teach you a clinch technique. Like
Yeah.
that's going to take a whole nother hour, which
Yeah.
I don't have. So it's like,
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
I need to at least dedicate
Dedicated
one and a
time.
half
Yeah.
weeks to this. But yeah, I mean, just it always comes back to like basics with everything. You know,
Yeah.
it's like I always tell my guys like my 5 core things from Muay Thai. I'm like structure, like having a good posture,
Mhm.
balance, distance, timing, and rhythm. You know, if you have those 5 things and you're always like making sure all 5 boxes are checked, then everything else is good. Then you learn the techniques and you learn the little scenarios and stuff like that, and you can just plug them in to this, you know. So it's like, you know, come back to the basics all the time, and that applies to the clinch too. You know, I'm teaching people how to control the biceps, how to control the neck, how to like,
Yeah.
you know, how to get somebody off your neck, how to use your shoulders and not just your hands, how to use your wrists and your head and all these different things. So, and then just having them do it. You
Yeah.
know, I'll teach some stuff, you know, and I'm like, all right, cool. Now clinch, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. That's
don't
it.
don't 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 try to muscle things, you know. Don't try to like it's not a death match where you should be like if you're muscling stuff too much, then you're not doing it right. You
Yeah.
know, it's like be strong but be fluid, be loose, you know, and then, you know, it's the same thing with sparring. It's like the best way to learn how to do everything is just by actually doing it. You know, it's like
Mhm.
if you're that's the thing with like, you know, a lot of other martial arts, like traditional martial arts, which might teach you how to throw punches and kicks in theory, but you're never actually having somebody trying to punch you in the
Yeah.
face or trying to actually kick you, you know, so you're never going to actually know how to apply it. You think
Right.
you know how to fight, but you really don't because you've never actually tried to defend yourself while somebody was actively trying to hit you. You
Yeah.
know, if you're never doing it, you're never going to get good at it. So it's like,
100%.
you know, I'm teaching the moves and stuff, and then all right, now figure out how to apply it. And the more you
Yeah.
do it, the more, you know, you'll eventually kind of figure it out and you'll get your own little style, and that applies to, you know, just the game in general. You know, your
Yeah, and
strength
I think
different
you
skills.
start to see like from the them like just kind of letting them go too. Um like, oh shit, okay, well, a couple of these guys don't know how to turn, you know what I mean? Or a couple of these guys' grips are just all fucked up. So like we gotta
Hmm.
just do a like we need to spend like 30 minutes on like, you know, this and this and this and just make
Hmm.
sure people know how to swim and all that stuff. So yeah, I think the clinch for me was like a weird like I like was like it was just one of those things that like you know some people just naturally kind of just understand movement, you know what I mean, or I don't know how to explain it because I don't know how to explain it, you know. So
Yeah.
like I but the clinch I felt like just kind of naturally like I knew I was like okay well I don't want to get elbows so let me keep this here and I don't want them to get a hold of my head so let me keep this here and then I like early on I had trouble teaching it because I'm just like no, don't let
Mm.
them do that. You know what I mean? And then but then if I clinched with people and I, you know, sometimes you can feel it, and then you can go from there. I feel like things start to fall into place a little bit easier that way.
Mhm.
But
Yep.
yeah, you do got to spend some time. Like, okay, like this is how we enter. We got to make sure our feet are on the same line. Like, don't leave any space between you. Get out of your fight stance. You know, like
Mhm.
all the little stuff that like
Yep.
just kind of naturally makes sense to you that you got to remember to tell them sometimes, you know. Uh yeah, it can be a little tricky. And I definitely think having some dedicated time to like going through it is important too.
Yeah, for
Do
sure.
the same thing. Try to do it as much as possible, like every day. And then we have like Tuesdays and Thursdays. Like we have our normal class, and then at 8, we'll like okay, we're gonna like do some technique and then clinch for a little while and stuff like that too. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's tough. It's tough though when you're doing it all on your own too. You're yeah, I know that's gotta always be a little bit difficult when it's just you. You know. Uh,
I mean, I wouldn't even have. I mean, eventually, you know, I should have some of my higher level fighters kind of
yeah.
teach classes here and there and branch out. But it's like for me, I'd be at the gym anyways. You know,
Right.
it's
Right.
like
Right.
I wouldn't
Right.
not be there if I wasn't teaching the class. I'd be what would I be doing?
training.
I'd be
Yeah,
sitting around like not doing
yeah,
anything. All right, let's go see what they're doing in there.
yeah,
I feel like I'm missing out by not being there because that's
yeah,
where I want to be. That's how I came up. Every single day, even now today, I'm trying to get better. I'm
yep,
trying to work on something new. I'm trying to, just the other day, I'm working on my rhythm and working on different things off my rhythm, like just the most basic stuff. But so it's like I'm also kind of I don't know, a control freak with, I feel like I'd be micromanaging and be like, all right,
yeah.
well, oh, you're teaching this, like, all right, well, if you added this, like, da da da. But it's cool because all my guys, they learned from the ground up from me, so I
Yeah,
know the way that they would teach stuff is the way that
how
I
you
taught
teach,
them,
yeah,
so they're gonna teach it the way I want it to be taught,
which is
and I gotta
clutch.
let
Yeah,
them
yeah,
do that because you also become a better fighter, I feel, from teaching because, like you said,
absolutely.
like for clinching for you, it's like, all right, just do it. I don't
Yeah,
really think about it. And that was the same thing for me when I first started teaching way back at CCFA. I would go to teach a move and I'm like, wait, like, how do I even do that move? Because
yeah.
I usually
Like I
don't
just
even
do it.
think
Yeah,
about it.
yeah,
I just do it. So then
yeah,
I had to like deconstruct it,
yeah,
examine the pieces and see how, and then I'm like, oh shit, like that's
yeah.
how I do it. I'm like, oh,
You're
I
like,
could
damn,
put
I
this.
know some shit. Yeah,
Yeah, and then I would put it back together. I'm like, oh shit, I could make that even better if I tweak
yeah.
this by taking it apart and looking at the individual pieces. It's like taking apart an engine or something, and
Mm-hmm.
then like cleaning up the little bits. And like, if you understand how they fit together and how it works, then there may be a way that you can make it work even better when you put it back together. By first you got to know how it works. So it's like that's
Absolutely.
what happened with me, and what still happens sometimes because I'll examine things that I do in order to teach them. And then by examining them, I understand them more, even though I already did them. And then, I figure out ways to like do it even better,
Yep.
because, it's a funny thing. But,
No, I sharpened your IQ tremendously, and I try to get a couple of my, I have a couple of my guys that I'm like or one of my guy you'll meet him at a tournament. He's like my right hand man. Um, is like my guy that I'm like, all right, I need you to cover this class. But it's like it's really cool to like hear sometimes if I'm able to hear him teaching, and it's like it sounds like I'm out there. You know what I mean? Like he teach, and
yep.
even in the corner, like he'll call shit out that it's like exactly the same shit that
Mhm.
I'll corner. So
Yep.
it's cool how you can like the shadow clone jutsu, like get a couple
Mhm. Mhm.
other guys,
Yep.
people around you, to
Exactly.
help spread the message. Well, hell yeah, brother. Well, look, let me run you through a couple of little rapid fire things real quick, and then I'll cut you loose because I know you got stuff to do too. Um, favorite Muay Thai fighter of all time?
Shit.
Yeah, I know that's a tough one.
It depends on my mood, but
Yeah,
the, uh, obviously I mentioned Samart earlier.
yeah.
There's Karohat. Um, fuck, like
Here, I'll tell you what. Give me your do this. Give me your Mount Rushmore of a golden era guys.
Golden
Four or
Era guys.
five.
All right, that's all right. My favorite, not the best, because
Yeah,
there'll
that
be
don't matter.
people,
Yeah, you're a
yeah,
Mount
people
Rushmore.
that are
Yep.
the best. That like, because Diesel Noise is one of the best ever, but I'm not a Muay Cow, so like I
Yep.
don't watch
Yep.
Diesel Noise a ton, but
Yep.
obviously he's a legend. So I say Samart,
Mm-hmm.
Karohat,
Mm-hmm.
Berkler, Pinson Chai.
Mm-hmm.
Used to love watching him. Uh, shit. Dang. Samrak, I'm saying. Oh, I got one more.
Yep.
And I'll say Chat Chai Pai Si Tong.
Okay.
That's a good one.
That's a
But
solid list.
that
That's a
was
solid
shift
list.
up
Yeah.
dependent,
Yeah, of course. Yeah. There's so many to choose from too, and that makes
Mhm,
it difficult. But it's
mhm,
fun. I think I like Brian Popejoy always does such an awesome job posting some of those old fights, and there'll sometimes be some people that I'm not even up on. I'm like, hell yeah,
mhm,
my man, I
mhm.
appreciate that, Brian. Shout out Brian.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
uh, who do you give for American Muay Thai? Like like the guy that you looked up to coming up, if there
Shit.
was one.
There wasn't really any because again, I was
Yeah.
coming from MMA. I was coming
Yeah,
from
yeah, yeah.
MMA, so I didn't know the scene. Obviously once I got into it, you see guys like Kevin Ross and stuff like that,
Yep.
who was a legend.
Yep.
But for me, it was just like the people I was fighting on the same cards with, like
Yeah,
Eddie,
yeah. Yeah.
Eddie and Amin and stuff like that. Just because
Yeah.
like I'm coming up along with them, so
Yep.
they were the guys alongside me, like when we went to London and stuff, But as far as like ones that I feel like are fantastic, like Sylvie Von Douglas, I mentioned
Mhm.
earlier, like her content is
Incredible.
priceless. It's like the next best thing to being in Thailand. In some ways, like even better because she's going to work with all these legends
Yeah.
that you wouldn't even be able to go and work with. And she speaks Thai, she's translating, and she's like great at explaining things like that. So it's like that's a gold mine right there. So Sylvie Von Douglas's stuff is awesome.
Yeah.
Onion Topic,
Yeah.
he's a legend. He's doing it over there at the highest level, like doing it like a Thai. It's
Mhm.
crazy. But yeah, there's a lot of good guys that people like kind of don't know about because they're over there doing it in Thailand. Like Jaleel Barnes, he's another one
Yeah,
that he's
bro.
over there
Jaleel is
competing
awesome.
in Thailand.
He
I haven't
he
even
did
met.
his last amateur fight for me on when I had a show. I was running down here, and he did his
Mm,
last amateur fight. He won a four man, one night four man for an amateur WBC title.
mm,
Bro, yeah, he's phenomenal. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, but I always
that's
respect
awesome
the
to hear
people that.
Sylvie too. I like that. I
Yeah,
like yeah.
yeah, the
She's
ones that
done
are
a
out
lot.
there doing it.
Yeah. She's done a lot. She's been over there holding it down. What about for MMA striker? Who was your favorite MMA striker when
Oh,
you were
that one's
coming?
easy. Anderson Silva.
Yes, sir.
Anderson Silva. That's it.
Yes,
That's
sir.
why I got good at head movement back then.
Yeah.
Like I would see Anderson. I'm like, damn, I want to slip punches like that. So then I would go
Mhm.
and study boxers,
Yeah.
and that's how I got good at boxing. Because
Yeah.
from Anderson and wanting to be like him, I went and I broke down Pernell Whitaker
Yeah.
and Nicolino Loche and all these
Yeah.
different dudes, and like to the point, and then I would go into the gym, and when we were sparring, I'd make myself stand right in front of people and just see how much I could not get hit, to the
Yep.
point where I would do an interview before fights and people are like, all right, so how long did you box? And I'm like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
never boxed,
Never.
I never boxed. They're like, really, you
Yeah.
never boxed?
Yeah.
My jab ended up being nasty and everything, but it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, Anderson was the dude.
Hell yeah. No, I fully wholeheartedly agree. I still to me he's always gonna be the GOAT striker of MMA. All due respect to Izzy and Alex and everybody else. But yeah, he's to me he's always gonna be the guy.
That's fun.
Who do you think is the best just pure striker in MMA currently though?
Even the ones like Khalil Roundtree, like when I tuned in to watch Khalil versus
Yeah,
Al,
I watched that one too.
because Khalil been spending so much time in Thailand, and he's a southpaw, so I've just figured logically, Alex Pereira is not going to try to take you down.
Yep.
He's a big puncher. In a Muay Thai fight, what would a southpaw do? He would be blasting his arms
Yeah,
with kicks
take
the
that
whole
right
time.
arm, take that punch
Yeah,
away.
he's
Yep.
kicking him, and he got big ass legs. And Pereira's not gonna what? He's gonna lift up his leg to block a kick? No, he's not gonna. It's
Mm-mm.
an
You
MMA
can't.
fight.
He's too wide. Yeah.
Those kicks will land 100% of the time. And what's he do? He turns it into a punching match
Yeah.
against a guy with the most dangerous punches. So I was like so annoyed by that. It was like I
And
was
yeah,
playing a video game.
outside leg calf kick, not checking. Like could have
I'm like,
easily took that away. Yeah, it was frustrating.
I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, throw your left kick. It's going to land all the time. So it's like,
Yeah,
it,
I don't really watch MMA that much either. I That's funny because you're I guess you're kind of in the same spot as me, and people are always like, Coach, this and that's coming up this weekend. I'm like, don't let me know how it goes. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. It's frustrating to watch. I'm in the
mm-hmm.
same
Yep.
mental headspace with that as well too. Yeah. Um. If you could run back any fight in your career, who would it be?
Hmm. Shit, probably some of the my old MMA matches, because
Yeah.
I'd be like, man, if
I know
only
some
I
shit
knew all the
now.
if
Yeah.
only I knew all the shit I know now, you guys would be just torn up. So yeah, any MMA match I ever had,
Yeah.
especially the ones where the guys like tried to stand up with me,
Yeah.
because it would be comical. As far as Muay Thai goes, probably Benko, because
Yeah.
that's my only loss.
Yeah. 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 You weren't
And
100%. Yeah.
yeah, I wasn't 100%, which whatever. Like I went in there
Never
knowing I'm.
100%, but yeah.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
like, I was drastically not 100%, but it's like
Right.
I
Yeah.
went in there knowing that. So it's like that's not an excuse. You can't make
Yeah. Of
excuses.
course.
I expected to win still. But
Yep.
I would like to, that would probably be the one where, let me show what I can do at
Yeah.
100%,
Yeah.
with all my weapons and my knowledge being a lot more than it was now, and because that's my only loss on my Muay Thai record,
Right.
that would probably have to be the one right there.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. What's your favorite fight of your Muay Thai career?
Possibly the last one, just because it
Yeah.
was my WBC title defense, and just because of the way I fought. I
Yeah.
was, it looked Muay Thai. To me, it's
Yeah.
like I was, it was a huge compliment because all those guys came over from Australia, and obviously in Australia, Muay Thai is huge. And we were all hanging out afterwards, and they were all great people. We had some drinks and everything like that, and they were saying, "Oh, like you're muy fumeur," and it's
Yeah.
like for them to say that, like because that's what I strive to be. I try to be
Yeah.
technical and muy fumeur, and that's kind of always been the way I fought. It's like it's a big compliment, coming from people that are so ingrained in the sport where it's such a big thing. So that one was a great one for you know like showing off my newfound knowledge and putting to use a lot of the things I've been doing over the last few years, while I haven't been so active, and even seeing the growth from that fight to my last one. The one
Yeah.
before that against Mark, where I won the WBC title. Where after that fight, I saw some things in that fight when I watched it back that I didn't really like. That I went back and I addressed and I fixed. And then I went and seen this one. I wasn't really doing those things anymore. So that's why it's cool to see like that every fight I'm never exactly the same. I'm always trying to get better or tweak this little thing or that little thing. So yeah, that would be one. The fight against Paul, obviously, that was my first ever line fight title. Dropped him with a head kick at the very end
Mm-hmm.
of the fifth round.
That was such a
Right
dope
after
fight.
the 10
Yeah.
second clapper. Not I'm letting them kick me in the arms and shit because back then I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
But so like that was a battle for all 5 rounds.
Yeah.
Paul's a beast. Yeah, but yeah, as far as like technically, because I'm always a technical ass dude. I'm saying
Yeah.
the last one.
Yeah. Hell yeah. That's fire. No, that was a really entertaining fight. How about train with? You could train with anybody.
Mm. Um, Shit, probably. I mean, Kru Ya Tong
Mm-hmm.
would be dope. R.I.P. Like
Yep.
I trained with his son Kru Toy
Yeah.
in Thailand. Kru Toy is awesome. I love
Yeah.
Kru Toy. I met him way back in the day when I was a young kid starting out at CCFA. Because again, we were affiliates with Siaton, so he would come to the States like and he came in to do a seminar a couple times. So yeah, and then when we were out there, I made a trip to Pattaya to go train at Sit and see him. We went out to eat and everything. But obviously, his dad, Kru Ya Tong, is arguably the best Muay Thai trainer of all time. He did so many crazy things for the sport, and Sit Ya Tong and the Golden Age had pretty much the most champions, I'm pretty sure, out of every gym. Same art, all these other
Mm-hmm.
dudes that came out of the gym. So yeah, that would be dope. Other trainers like Grupipa from Jockey
Mm-hmm.
Gym, because he's
Yeah.
great,
Yeah. Yeah.
great teamer, trainer, trained Senchai and Silapatai and Lertzilla, all these people. But as far as like fighters, I mean, shit, like any legendary fighter really,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
like I'd love to spar against like Buakaw or even spar against like Samart when he
Yeah.
was in his prime. So many freaking legends out there that it's great because Muay Thai you actually can go and train with these people today.
Right. Yeah. I love that.
Like
Yeah.
that's what separates Muay Thai versus like in basketball, you can't be like, hey, Michael Jordan, can I come
Yeah,
get a fight?
yeah. Let's play one on one.
No, yeah, absolutely not. But it's like you can
Yeah,
go to Thailand and train with any legendary fighter, if they're even still in Muay Thai. Some are over
yeah,
there like running restaurants or driving tuk-tuks or something. It's like they
yeah,
might not even be in Muay Thai, but yeah, it's dope to
yeah.
see.
I remember the last time I was over there, and I just like just had this like you just had this moment where I'm like, what the fuck? I'm just like sitting on the couch with Pornsene, just like watching TV, like
Mm-hmm.
hanging out and shit. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's I think that's one of the things that helps you really fall in love with this sport is like that groundedness to it that there is, that
Mm-hmm.
you could travel over there. And my so the my favorite fighter coming up was Artur Kaishenko. I really liked him just because like I said, I had that a more aggressive um boxing style. And but what I liked about Artur was he had a style that like he could fight Muay Thai, he could fight kickboxing, MMA, boxing, like that. And that was always my goal, was to be able to compete in any combat sport, and to be able and to like create a style um, that as a gym owner and as a coach, like I could train any type of fighter as well too. And Archer, I feel like really had that. And yeah, we've become like friends over the years.
Yeah.
Just had brought him out for a thing. He actually hit me up the other day, and he asked me to help him out with some stuff. And we even talked at one point right before COVID, because I was thinking about opening another location, about doing like a level up Kaishenko gym or something like that, which is like, you know what I mean? Like this is
Mhm.
the guy that you're like he's like the god of of my style,
Yeah, yeah,
uh
yeah. So,
crazy that sport can bring people together like that. It's super
mm-hmm.
super
Yep,
cool, all right,
100%.
let me hit you with some of this comic book stuff. So I'm always excited when you jump on any post, or I'm always excited to see what you're talking about, because we're usually aligned on a lot of this stuff. I used to joke, I'm like, yeah, me and Chip need to start a comic book podcast. I'm gonna trip everybody out, because I'm like, everybody I think we're gonna be talking Muay Thai, and I'm like, nah, we're gonna be on here talking about comic book stuff. So
Yep.
do you read comics too, or or the more like the movies, TV stuff like that?
I was up until, I mean, at this point, it was years and years back. Like shit,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
feels a couple years ago. But I was going every week to get comics, and then I was like, yo, I'm spending way too much money
It's
on
hard,
comics.
yeah, bro. That shit's
I
expensive.
gotta chill out. So
Yeah,
I haven't picked up any comics in a long time.
yeah.
Actually, the other week I just got the last Ronin for
Oh,
Ninja Turtle,
nice.
but
Oh man,
because I hadn't read that yet. But
that shit
yeah,
makes
not in
me
a long
so
time.
mad, bro. I don't know if you know this, but I submitted in.
I remember, yeah, seeing
Did you
your
hear?
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like back in like 2000, I think it was like 2009. Yeah, I sent this
Mhm.
idea about the three of them getting killed, and there's one left. He
Mhm.
wears a black man. Like everything. Like I even, if God is my witness, the guy who runs the comic book store that I go to down here, like he even knew, he knows about it. He backs the
Mhm.
story up for me too, because
Mhm.
I got the email from him. I was like, I know this is crazy, but I was like, do you have an email that I can send this idea to? And he was like, actually, I do. He was like, it's like his assistant, office or
Mhm.
whatever. But, because
Mhm.
they had booked him to come do a signing or something like that at one point. And, yeah, man. So, but it is
Damn,
dope. I will say my idea is better though. I think mine was a little better. So,
I
uh,
believe it.
but yeah,
But yeah,
but it's a really cool. So are you digging it though?
oh yeah, for sure. And I kind of already, it came out years back, so you see things
Yeah.
about it already and everything.
That's tough. But yeah, but it's still
But
fun to
yeah,
read the
as far as
story.
like comics, I mean, I was always a Marvel guy. I was never really a
Yeah.
DC guy.
Same.
Um, probably the last era that I was getting comics was around the Secret Wars, the last Secret Wars,
Okay.
when all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff happened.
With God
Which
Doom and
is
all that.
yeah, which is dope that they're gonna
It's
be
coming
doing
up.
that for the movies now because
Yeah.
oh yeah, I got all those, the whole Battle World, I
Yeah.
had all the Battle World comics and stuff, but yeah,
I
it
think that's
was
what that was cool, and it also made it a little bit harder for like to keep up and like financially even keep up because it was like it spreads across like
It's
30
everything.
different
Yeah.
things and you're like fuck, like I gotta read this
Mhm.
tie-in and
You
this
want to, yeah,
tie-in
you
and this
want to read all
tie-in.
of it. You want to see,
Yeah.
everything that's happening with the Thor corpse and all these.
Yeah. Oh fuck, I forgot about Thor Corpse. That was sick. Yeah, I don't know if
Uh,
you ever saw it. I actually did. I made Aaron a God Doom like fight like the vest and the
oh,
shorts because
yeah.
she had we had I did some like regular green Doctor Doom trunks for her first,
Mm,
and then she had a big title fight coming up. So I made like the white vest and the white shorts,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
we did the God Doom ones or whatever. I tagged Marvel
Mhm.
the other day. I was like, you guys need to I was like, you need to get my wife as a variant for these this upcoming movie. She's a real Doctor Doom.
Uh,
So favorite. What was your favorite? Like if I know there's a million comics out there, obviously, and I had a bunch of favorites too. But what was like your go-to like comic character or whatever?
I'll give you two. So that probably aren't one. That's definitely not one that people say. But Iron
Yeah,
Fist. Iron Fist has always
fucking
been
love Iron Fist.
one of my favorites. I had
Yep,
the like I was the Living Weapon run.
yep.
Those were dope. But Karnak,
Oh shit. Okay.
they did a little Karnak run from the Inhumans that was dope, and
Yeah,
I identify with Karnak as dope because he's an Inhuman. He never went through the Terrigen Mist to get his powers, but he
yeah.
trained his ability, and his ability is the ability to find a weakness in all things.
I
So
love
I
that.
was like,
Yeah.
that's how I approach fighting. I'm like,
Yep.
no matter what style you are, no matter how you move, no matter what, I'm gonna figure out a weakness and a way to beat you. And that's what he does.
That's dope.
But in an
Yeah.
extraordinary manner. Like, all right, get
Yeah.
poke one brick and then the whole wall tumbles down or whatever. But
Hell
so
yeah.
yeah, so I thought his powers were dope, and they did a cool run on him around that time period too with some
Damn,
of
I didn't know that. I didn't know. I'm about to read that because I fuck with Karnak
the.
heavy too. I like power sets like that. Also, one of my favorite guys has always been Taskmaster,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and we use that as a term around the gym a lot too. I'm like, there you go, bro. We're getting Taskmaster with it. I like that. You're like,
It's funny. That's
where
what my
you're
boy
not able
Andre,
to be
he
beat
got
the
on, he
same
used to
way.
call me. He said, "You like Taskmaster when we spar? You like Taskmaster?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah, there you go. Hell yeah, that's dope. I was so fucking mad about what they did to Taskmaster in the Black Widow movie, and I feel like I'm not I'm not one of these people that gets all up in arms about them changing like certain things. Like sometimes it works and it's fine. If it works, it's
Yeah,
good. But I'm like, don't fuck with Taskmaster though, man. Like that's not that's not somebody to fuck with. You know what I mean?
that's yeah.
It was so pointless. Like there was no reason to just like it was just kind of like we're gonna make this girl a taskmaster. You know what I
That was
mean? Just to
almost as
like
bad
surprise everyone.
as sewing Deadpool's mouth shut. It's like Deadpool's supposed to
Yeah, like
be funny and stuff. Like Taskmaster's kind of supposed to be funny,
yeah,
like he's
super
always
funny.
talking. He's always like, it's like I don't know. That's yeah.
Nah, that bummed me out, and because I was like when the Netflix stuff started coming out, I was like so amped up because that was like really that's like a lot of the stuff that I really wanted to see. I wanted to see a little bit more of the street level stuff. Like I love the
Mhm.
Infinity, and I'm super excited they're doing. They're gonna do like Secret Wars and have all the incursions, and I love all the big shit too. But like, I really have always been like a street level
Mhm.
dude. Like
Mhm.
the first two comics I ever read were Daredevil and Punisher, and like that was what I was into.
Yep.
And I got really into Wolverine for like a long time, and then I feel like there was just too much Wolverine everywhere, and I eventually like kind of was like, all right, and then obviously a huge Spider-Man fan, but I got into Spider-Man as I got older.
Mm.
Kind of sounds like similar to what you're talking about, where like I was able to appreciate and identify with him more as I got older. Like he's got a tough, you know what I mean? He's got a tough
Mhm.
life.
Mhm.
Like his
Yep.
personal life is always like going through some things because he's Spider-Man sometimes and but at the same time he always puts the mask on and does what he's got to do and make sure he gets shit done.
Mhm.
I was like, man, I really dig that. And what really roped me in was I would like read some stuff. I read like the Gauntlet when that was coming out, and then I like bounced out for a little bit, and then the guy, shout out my guy Steve at Third Eye Comics. He's always so good at being like, man, you gotta check this out. He put me on to that last little run where Doc Ock like steals Peter Parker's body and then becomes
Was that
Superior
Superior
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man or something?
Yeah. And it
Yeah.
was so fucked up because you're like he had just got his own lab at this place, Horizon Labs. He was making money. He had a dope apartment. He's dating this girl, and everything's like you're like, holy shit, like Peter's
Mm,
finally getting his
yeah.
shit together, and then Doc Ock slides in, just steals his whole life, and
Mhm,
you're like,
mhm.
bro, this
Yeah.
dude can never catch a break, man. So
I might have read that one too. I forget.
yeah, I have the whole fucking. Let me see if I can point this down without that. All those up there is like all of
Hell
Dan
yeah.
Slott's run. I got his whole. I have his whole run of Spider-Man because that was like my favorite. That was like my favorite shit was
Mhm,
everything that he wrote.
mhm.
Uh yeah, he's phenomenal. So Spider-Man was my guy. Um hold on, let me get to this thing real quick. Oh yeah, okay. Favorite fight scene in a Marvel movie or show. You have one?
I mean, the Netflix Daredevil stuff, obviously, all
Yeah.
those long drawn out fights were crazy. Um, those are some of the dopest ones. Um, Obviously the moment that got all the fans going crazy when Thor was getting his ass beat by Thanos and
Cap
then
gets the
Cap
hammer.
freaking picks
Yeah.
up Mjolnir and starts getting them. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the Daredevil ones,
Yeah.
just kind of
Every
those.
time, every hallway fight, anything. Yeah, no, that was vicious. What'd you think of this Born Again? I'm a little mixed on the I really loved seeing because I'm a huge Bullseye fan too.
Mhm, mhm.
I'm so glad that they got Bullseye and they're doing what they're doing with him because he's such a vicious villain. I'm not sure how I was feeling about all the smoke like and like the little bit of CGI stuff that they did, but the rest of
Mm.
the fight was fire though. What'd you think of this fight from the Born Again?
Yeah, that was dope. There was like a lot of little subtle things happening,
Yeah.
especially when he throws
Yeah.
the pool
Pop,
ball and
pop.
then like ricochets over, hits this person, and then he's like kind of, like flinging knives, but you didn't really see who's
Nah,
fighting.
his hand
Like,
came up and it was just like fing, fing, fing.
it's kind of chaotic, obviously, but it's like that's kind of how it would be. It
Yeah,
is going to be chaotic when two
yeah,
guys are in here and the smoke and there's people in there and they all got guns and he's taking out this person, like nobody really knows what's going on or where this is coming from and everything.
yeah.
So like, that was cool to see. But yeah, I hope they show him fully bullseyed out at some
Yes.
point
I need him in that suit, or at
in the
least some kind of version
show.
of it,
Yeah, yeah, because
I
that'll
want
be
I'm hoping that somehow him and Hawkeye eventually get to square off. That's what I really want to see. I would like to see them two
yep,
get down. Like obviously
yeah.
him and Daredevil obviously too. Like 'cause they can kind of ricochet and do a lot of the same stuff. But I would love to see him and Hawkeye get busy. I don't know if you ever did you I don't know if you ever read the Ultimates with Hawkeye, but they had this one thing where he gets captured. Well, first they bust in his house and they like kill his whole family, which is
Mm,
crazy. And he's
mhm.
shot up, and they have this real tense thing where there's somebody on the radio's like, "Well, is he down?" And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, he's down." And they're like, "All right, we'll confirm though." And then they cut to the next panel, and he's just got like spoons and like forks and like butter knives between his fingers, and they're like, "Oh shit!" And he just fucks everybody up with silverware.
Hell yeah, that's dope.
And then later they got him strapped down and he like digs one of his own fingernails out and flicks it into the guy's eye and kills him. I'm just like, bro,
It
I'm
was
like that.
Hawkeye
I
or
love shit.
Bullseye?
Hawkeye, yeah, Hawkeye. This is all
Okay.
Hawkeye. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Ultimates Hawkeye was vicious. Like
Mhm.
they like the suit and a lot of the stuff is what they ended up using for
Uh,
like the MCU movies and shit.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely worth checking out though. I'll send you some links to some of that stuff if you hadn't read it or whatever. I think it would be fly. But yeah, I like all the street level stuff. I'm hoping that they not now that the Daredevil's over there, like we start to see some more of the like Tombstone and like Hammerhead and some of those other like obscure street villains, like mixing it
Mhm.
up. And I don't know if they'll be able to do Spider-Man in with Daredevil in the show or what or how they'll mix that up. But hopefully we get stuff like
Sony is,
that at some point too. You know?
they need to just give it up and just give it back to Marvel, but that'll never
Yeah,
happen.
man, because we need that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, serious.
Favorite villain.
Huh. Damn. I'm not even gonna be able to pick nothing. I don't even know. Shit. Growing up, I loved Sabretooth
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
just because of the '90s X-Men show. Like Sabretooth and Wolverine, I was going at it. Um, but I wouldn't say he's my favorite right now. Damn.
Yeah. It's tough. Yeah, it's tough. There's a lot of good ones out there, and there are a lot even like the anti-heroes and stuff too. You know, you got
Yeah,
the,
exactly.
the
I mean, shit. The leader is dope, but
yep.
I
He looked
wouldn't
kind
say
of
he's
weird
my
in the movie. I was hoping that he would just have the big. You know what I mean? Did you see
No,
the
I
Brave and the
wasn't.
Bold?
I know the maker. I'm not thinking,
Oh
not the
yeah,
leader,
make it. Oh,
not the
oh
leader.
fuck yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
hope to God we get him live action. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I definitely hope we
Not the
get him
leader,
live
not the
action. We
leader.
need
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
But shit, I don't know. I have to think about that and get back to you on that one.
um. This last one, most underrated comic book movie. In your opinion, if you think there are any.
Mhm. I mean, probably Blade because Blade is the reason why everything
Kick the whole shit off.
start.
Yep.
And
Yep.
people forget that Blade is a comic book. People
Yep.
forget that Blade is Marvel. But yeah, because I mean, shit, without Blade, you're not getting the MCU or anything like that. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, I can't wait for them to do another Shang-Chi movie.
I
I need to see
know,
Shang-Chi
man. It's like,
again.
what are they dragging their feet for? Yeah, because
And
that show was really good, and but I do hope that yeah, I'd like to see him and Iron Fist back together too
yeah,
somehow.
so that's what I'm thinking is like because in the Shang-Chi movie, when they're giving a little background of it, they were saying how like that was just one of the cities, one of the magical cities.
Yeah,
I'm like, let one of the other ones be Kunlun, and
yeah,
do Iron Fist properly because Iron Fist, like I
yeah.
said,
I
it's like
need that.
possibly my favorite superhero, him and like Karnak, a couple others, but like Iron Fist probably my
Yeah,
top guy. And for them to do what they did, that shit was terrible.
yeah.
I,
Shit was
I need like
heartbreaking, man.
I need an Iron Fist movie or a show or something like that. Like in my perfect world, have it be like Quentin Tarantino directing it or something like that,
Oh
and do
yeah,
like have like the RZA do the score and do it like almost like
yes,
how in Kill Bill when she went to train with Pai Mei,
yeah,
like
yeah,
show
yeah,
Iron Fist like growing up, like learning how to be Iron Fist in Kunlun and do it like an old school kung fu movie.
yeah, yeah.
Like
And
like
don't do the shit where the fist doesn't work. Nobody wants to see that. I don't know
that,
why they get so caught up in stuff like that. Like with the original this Daredevil series, like they had shot 6 episodes. They were going a completely different direction, and he wasn't gonna be in the suit for like the first like 4 or 5 episodes or something. Like, bro,
yeah,
you
but
don't want to see that shit. You know what I mean? Same thing with the Moon Knight series. Really pissed me off because I'm like, he was not Moon Knight the whole fucking show. The only time we saw him in the Moon Knight stuff was the stuff that we already saw in the trailer. It was so brief. Man,
yep.
that shit that one really pissed me off too because that was like another one I was super excited for because I'm thinking
Mm,
like, okay, cool, we get Moon Knight. They got Black Knight. They introduced in Eternals that fizzled out. But originally I'm thinking, okay, we're gonna get Moon Knight. We're gonna get Black Knight. We're gonna get Blade. And we're gonna start getting into some like Midnight
Midnight
Suns
Sun.
type
Yeah.
stuff, and then
Yep.
yeah, everything's just I don't know what they're doing now. So
Hmm.
well, yeah, brother, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for jumping on. Thanks for answering all my weird questions, and I really got come back on it again sometime too and just talk comics, man, because I always enjoy our conversations on Instagram, and Facebook, and stuff. So
Yep.
yeah, I could talk to you for a whole another hour about all that stuff. It's cool to
No, for real.
find another kindred spirit that really knows the game. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
sir.
Awesome, brother. Well, hell yeah, I appreciate it. This one will be out on Wednesday. I'll cut up some clips and stuff like that too, and
All right, dope,
tag you and
brother.
everything. But yeah, thank you so much. Wishing
Yeah,
you all
man.
the
No.
best. Definitely hit up Corley, man. I would love to see you on RWS. He might be able to help out a little bit or something
Yeah,
too.
no, for sure. I definitely will.
Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
brother. I'll talk to you soon, man. Thank you
All
again.
right, man. You know it.
Peace.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.